So what we're doing today is we're starting section 4.6, Arithmetic Sequences. And a sequence is an ordered list of numbers. There is a pattern for the numbers. The one we want to focus on is an arithmetic sequence, and this is when the sequence has a common difference. So what happens with arithmetic, which is just arithmetic, it's either adding or subtracting. And it has to be the same thing all the time. You can't multiply, you can't change what you add or subtract by. It has to be the same thing the whole time. So if we look at this first pattern of 5, 10, 15, 20, if we kind of see what's going on, it adds 5. To get from 10 to 15, it adds 5. To get from 15 to 20, it adds 5. So that means the next one's going to be 5. And then the next one's going to be 30 because I'm going to add 5 again. So the common difference, and this is a vocabulary word you have to be familiar with, is just 5. And because I'm going up 5 each time, it's a positive 5. Now sometimes you're going to have to graph these. And what you want to do is you want to think about them as an ordered pair. The first number I had was a 5. The second number I had was 10. The third number I had was 15. And then the fourth number I had was 20. And I'm just going to list those. So for the first one, I'm going to go over 1 and up 5. And I make that point. And this for the second one, I go over 2 and up 10. And this next one, go over 3 up 15. And then over 4 up 20. And you can see it makes a straight line. And it has a pattern. When we write an equation for an arithmetic sequence, there's a formula that we start with. And we're going to start with the technical terms first, and then we'll go to what makes more sense when we see it. You start with a sub 1, and this just means it's the first number. And then you're going to add your common difference, and that's what we found up there, the 5. And then you're going to multiply by n minus 1. This is the thing that's always there. Don't get thrown off by it. Just remember it's always there, and it's n minus 1. Okay, so if we want to write the equation for this problem, my first term was 5. My common difference was 5. And then I do n minus 1. And then if we have to simplify this, remember you would distribute first. So it's 5n minus 5. And then if I combine my like terms, a positive 5 and a minus 5 cross off. So this is the equation that works. The reason you want to be able to write an equation is sometimes I'm going to ask you to find maybe the 32nd term. If I ask you to find the 32nd term, you do not want to list out 32 numbers. What you want to do is have an equation, and then I just plug it in. So it becomes 5 times 32, which is 160. So the equation is helpful when you want to find specific terms. Okay, so let's look at some pictures and see, and let's try some of these problems. So we need to determine if it is an arithmetic sequence. And remember, it has to be a straight line. And this is a straight line, so this one's a yes. So I'm going to list my first number is at 1, 1. My second number is at 3. My third number is at 5. And my fourth number is at 7. So this is the first, the second, the third, the fourth. So if I write my sequence, this is my sequence. Okay, so now it's asking us to write an equation. So we're going to come back to this, and we're going to use this one a lot. So a sub 1 is where we start, and I started at 1. And then it asks, I don't know why I wrote an a. I started at 1. This is my first term. And then each time, this is adding 2. So I do plus 2, and then n minus 1, because that's always there. Now you can save your expression like this, Or you can simplify it by distributing, and I get 2n minus 2. And when I combine my terms, I get 2n minus 1. I will accept both of those answers. All right, let's look at this next one. Does this line look like it's straight? And if you notice, it's a little crooked. So you see how these points are different than those first two? So this is not arithmetic because it's not a perfect straight line. All right, let's go ahead and do some problems. So it says write the next 3 terms of the sequence. So my first term is 10. So I need to fill in 3 blanks. And each time it's telling me to subtract 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7. Minus 3 is 4. Minus 3 is 1. And that's it. Okay, let's go back to red. My first term is negative 3. And it wants me to find my next 3 terms. So I'm writing the blanks. And something about writing the blanks actually helps you visualize it and remember what you're doing. And so now it says the common difference is 2. And you see how that's a positive 2? So that means I'm going to add 2. Negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. Plus 2 again is a positive 1. Plus 2 again is 3. And that's my answer. All right, for 3, 4, and 5, we have to see if it's arithmetic, which means it has to stay a pattern. So I'd like you to look at those problems and see if you recognize a pattern. And if you recognize a pattern that's adding or subtracting, then say yes. Once you think you have it, go ahead and press play so you can check. Okay, so this one minus 2, and then it minuses 2, and then it minuses 2. So this is a yes. This one here, to get from negative 3 to 0, you add 3. And to get from 0 to 2, you add 2. You see how those numbers are different? So this is no. It's not an arithmetic sequence. Okay, this one's a little tricky. If you ever can't tell what it is, what you do is you take your phone or your calculator and you subtract. 2.4 minus 1.7. Well, that's 0.7, so they did plus 0.7. And then I'm going to do the next one, 3.1 minus 2.4. That's also plus 0.7. So it does look like a yes. Okay? Now what I want us to do is I want to find our common difference. Our common difference for this is a minus 2. And our common difference for this one is a positive 0.7. Okay, we're going to kind of go out of order. We're going to write the equation first because that's the harder part. So remember, this is it. It's the first term plus your difference and minus 1. I'd like you to try and write your equations for 3 and 5 and then press play when you think you got it. Okay, for 3, whoa, that's super thick. I don't want it that thick. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so for 3, my first term is right here, 7, plus my difference. So you can either say plus or minus 2 or just minus 2, and then we're going to throw on that n minus 1. Now you can keep it like this or distribute. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I get 7 minus 2n. A negative 2 and a negative 1 make a positive 2. And so I combine those and I get negative 2n plus 7. And that's the equation. All right, for this one, your first term was 1.7. And you're adding 0.07, or 0.7, and then n minus 1. So again, I'm going to go ahead and distribute, and I get 1.7 plus 0.7n minus 0.7. I combine those together, and I get 0.7n minus 1. Or plus 1, because 1.7 minus 0.7 is that. Okay, last thing, let's pick another color, purple. It asked me to find the next 3 terms. So for this one, I'm minusing 2. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 2 is negative 3, minus 2 is negative 5. Over here we're adding 0.7, so 3.1 plus 0.7 is 3.8. Plus 0.7 again is 4.5. Plus 0.7 again is 5.2. Okay, let's try one other thing it doesn't say. Let's say we want to find the 51st term. We're going to just do it on this one down here. To find the 51st term, I'm going to plug in 51. And so now we take our calculator, 0.7 times 51 plus 1, and you get 36.7. So sometimes you're going to have to plug in a number, but that's all you do. You know what n is, so you plug it in. So the biggest thing you guys have to be aware of is this formula here. Remember, it's your first term plus the difference times n minus 1.